Hey guys, welcome to Cape and Cowl Cafe. I'm Nemo, and today we're going to be ranking all of Batman's costumes from LEGO Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight on a tier list. If you guys enjoy the video at any point today, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that like and subscribe button, but let's hop right in. Alright, first up, we got the first appearance Batman costume. You can obtain this by connecting your WB Games account to either your PSN or your Steam account or whatever you have. Obviously, you have to use this suit when playing through the early missions of the game. Like, it just makes sense, and it looks so good. It is such a cool and classic look for the character. I love the purple gloves, the simplified bat logo. I even love the ears on this one. They are way too big, they stick out on the sides, and normally, I wouldn't like that. But on the first appearance Batsuit, it gets a pass because of how cool it is, okay? And honestly, it looks a lot better here than it did in LEGO Batman 3. This one's our first S tier. It's perfect. All right, next up, we got Rainbow Batman, another classic comic book costume. It's gonna go in D tier for me. Like, I'm sorry for those of you who like the costume. It's just like, you know, you want to be immersed in the story. Who's wearing this? You know, it's fun. It's a cool reference, but at the end of the day, it's not going to hold up against everything else on this list. So it's not the worst, but it's also not, you know, it's not a real Batman costume. All right, next up, we got the classic Bronze Age Batsuit, the light blue and gray. Now, whatever artist you think of when you see this, whether it be Neil Adams, Jim Aparo, Norm Breyfogle, this is the suit, okay? And it's perfect. It is just perfection. So obviously it's going in S tier. This is one of the best suits in the game, and using the red brick modifiers, you can actually make it a deeper blue and a darker gray, and it just looks so freaking good. All right, coming up next, we have the Knight's End suit. Now this is a costume that Bruce briefly wore after the events of Nightfall. It's essentially just a ninja suit, and I think it's adapted very poorly in this game. So it's gonna be our first F tier. I think the costume is supposed to be black. I understand that there's blue highlights in the drawings, you know, in the book, but I don't know. It's a ninja suit. It doesn't look that intimidating when it's this shade of blue, and the mask, it doesn't look right. You know, something's off. I know it's LEGO. It's not going to be perfect, but I think they got it all wrong. So F tier it goes. Sorry. All right, next up, we have the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh as seen in Batman R.I.P. or the Failsafe arc. This is just another classic comic book costume, and I think it's adapted pretty well here. I love the colors. They are nice and bright with the purple, the red, and yellow. I love the attention to detail with the stitching and the messy fabric all over the suit, as well as the shoulder piece they've added there to emulate the flared shoulders attached to his cape. It just looks so cool. I love this costume, so this is going to go into B tier. Okay, next up, we have the costume seen in Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo's Zero Year. Now, the thing with this costume is, I feel like the depth of the texture is what gives it that cool look in the comic book. It makes it stand out more. And when adapted to a 2D surface like a LEGO torso or the LEGO arms, it just doesn't look as good. And it doesn't have that same wow factor to it. You know, like the sleeves are really what makes this design interesting. And it's just kind of hard to convey that same level of detail here. I do like the purple gloves, but other than that, it just looks like a modernized version of the first appearance suit, but without the sauce. You know, especially with this cowl piece, it doesn't have the same effect. So I'm going to throw this in B tier. It's still a cool costume, but it's really nothing special. Next up, we have the current comic book Batsuit. We have the Jorge Jimenez and Matt Fraction Batsuit, the blue one with the blue symbol. It's so good. I especially love the utility belt. There is so much detail here. I love the inside of the cape, how it has a different pattern on it and it's a slightly different color. It looks so good. I do wish that they used a different cowl mold for this specific suit. I'm not a huge fan of the more modern LEGO Batman cowls. I like the older ones, but it's still so nice to see this adapted in this game. Like, this was a huge surprise to me. I did not think that they were going to be pulling out things so recent like this, but it was just such a welcome surprise. So it's going in S tier. It's a classic peak suit. Like, come on. All right, next up, we have another costume that I honestly didn't think was going to make it into this game, and that would have to be the Night Fight costume from the DC KO event, and this one is just awesome. Obviously, this comes from the storyline where Bruce travels to different alternate dimensions where his Robins take up the mantle of Batman. It's not real. It's all stuff made up by the Heart of Apocalypse, so like these aren't real universes, but it's still such a cool storyline, and this costume is adapted perfectly. I love the shade of blue that they've gone with here, the scar on the face, the shoulder pads, the sheer attention to detail on the armor plating, and the belt. It's just so good. I love this costume, and I would love if they made this into an actual LEGO minifigure for me to own. The attention to detail here is just insane. This one's going up in A tier. All right, next up, we got the Dark Knight Returns costume. This was the pre-order bonus for the game, and like, what more could you want? It's a dark blue and gray batsuit. I know it's from The Dark Knight Returns, but I like to pretend that it's the Jim Lee Hush suit. I know the symbols are different, I don't care. But again, What more could you want? It's blue and gray Batman, it's classic, it's one of the best looks for the character. This one's going up in A tier. Alright, next up we got the costume from Gotham by Gaslight, and I'm just not a huge fan of this design. It never really resonated with me. I do appreciate the attention to detail with the shoulder piece emulating the big cape and the collar and the buckle thing. I don't know what it's called. It's an 1800s cape. It looks pretty cool, but I'm just not a huge fan of this design or this storyline, so I'm gonna have to throw this one into C tier. It's not bad. Okay, coming up next, we have Vampire Batman, and this is another costume that looks way better than its counterpart in LEGO Batman 3. Here, it's near perfect. I love the red eyes and the fangs, and honestly, the base, Batsuit here is just a really cool looking classic black and gray Batsuit. It looks awesome. I love the long ears. It's just a near perfect skin. A tier. Okay, coming up next, we have the Pirate Batman costume, and, same thing with the Rainbow Batsuit. It's funny, it's cool, it's fun, but it's not a serious Batsuit. It's gonna take you out of the game. And, while it's not terrible, it's not a bad skin, you can still have fun wearing this and playing the game with it. It's just not going to compare to the rest of these costumes. So it's gonna unfortunately have to go into F tier. I really hate the goatee as well. It just looks bad. And I mean, just because some of these suits are going to make their way into F tier, it doesn't mean that they're like the worst of the worst ever. They're definitely not worse than most of the skins in Marvel's Avengers, for example. It's just, something's got to go in F tier, right? Okay, next up, we got Absolute Batman, and you already know where this is going to go. Obviously, it's an instant S tier. Okay, this is such a fresh and unique design for the character. It's basically just a basic black and gray Batsuit, but if the symbol was massive and you added spiky shoulder pads. And it looks so tough. I love this costume so much, and I love this run. I'm just so happy that they've been including more recent things from the comic books into this game. It just shows such a level of care and detail for the source material. Like, the devs actually care about Batman, they did their research. This one's awesome. Okay, next up we have the 1940s serial Batsuit, and this one is the definition of, it's okay. It's a black and gray Batsuit. The belt isn't the best, the symbol's kind of but it's trying to emulate that kind of unfinished look of the 1940 suit. It's fine. It's going into B tier. Okay, next up, we got one of the GOATs, Adam West. This one's a classic for a reason, okay? Everybody loves this costume, and it's just fun. But it's fun while still looking somewhat serious. Like, you can still look at this and be like, yeah, that's Batman. Now, one thing about this costume that I absolutely love is the black shading on the face of the mask. That is something that I have just been waiting to see adapted into live action, because I feel like you can do it and make it look serious. There's gotta be a way, but this one is just classic. It's so good, it's going in A tier. Okay, next up we have the Batman 89 costume, and while I'm not a huge fan of the Tim Burton Batman movies or Michael Keaton's Batman or the way he was written, you gotta admit, the visual style, the iconography, the aesthetic of this Batman and the way that this universe looks, it's so cool, and it's iconic. You look at this Batman suit and you know exactly which Batman it is. So it's going in A tier, it's a classic. Next up, we have the Sonar suit from Batman Forever, and it's okay, I really like the shiny finish that they've given the suit. It kind of makes it look more like an armor. And there's a few other suits in the game that have that same thing, but the glowing blue eyes, the details on the suit, it's all pretty good. The only thing that I don't really like is the rubber cape. Some of the suits have fabric capes and some of them have rubber capes, and the rubber ones just never look as good. And, if the design is good enough for a suit, I can excuse it, and we'll see that later on, but it's fine. B tier. By the way, if you want to know how much I thought about the capes in this game, we have the rubber capes and the fabric ones, but there's actually two types of fabric capes because they are all modeled after the real LEGO capes that they use on minifigures. Now, most of the capes nowadays have just one hole, and it makes the capes kind of flare off the back a bit more, but back in the day, we actually had capes that had 2 points of connection, 2 holes, and they kind of folded over each other, and there's only 2 skins in the game that have that style of cape, and that would have to be the BTAS suit and the Gray Ghost suit. Rant over. LEGO, please bring back the old capes. Please. Alright, next up, we have the main suit from Batman and Robin, the one worn by George Clooney. It's famous, but for all the wrong reasons. Now, it doesn't have the nipples in this game, and I feel like that would have been fun to include. It doesn't have to be all weird and sexual, right? It's a Batsuit. Anyway, it actually looks a lot better in this game than it does in the movie, and that would have to be because they made it black, In the movie, it's all blue. Here, it's all black. I think it just makes it look a lot better. I don't know. It looks pretty good. B tier. Alright, next up, we have the ice suit from Batman and Robin. It doesn't look great in the movie, and it doesn't really look great here. There's just way too much going on. I mean, you can clearly see the crotch piece on the Lego minifigure. That's crazy how that detail got carried over. D tier, don't like it. Okay, next up, we have the costume from Batman Begins. I feel like this is a way better suit than the Dark Knight, both in and out of the game, okay? In the game, they chose the weird rubber cape for the Dark Knight suit and the worst cowl mold, but then this suit looks way better, you know? The only thing that makes this suit, you know, the Batman Begins suit is just the printing on the torso. Other than that, it's identical to the 89 suit, so it's gonna have to go in a very similar tier, so I'm just gonna put it here in B tier, because it's alright. And next up, we have the Dark Knight costume. And again, it's just a worse version of the Batman Begins suit. They use the inferior cowl mold. They have the rubber cape. I really don't like what's going on with the torso and the chest. It's over cluttered. There's too much going on, too many armor panels. It doesn't look great. So C tier it goes. By the way, I hate this costume in real life. Okay, in that movie, it looks terrible. I know I'm pissing a lot of you Nolan fans off, but that suit is so ugly, and all of you are deluded into thinking it looks good, all right? Sorry, not sorry. Moving on. All right, next up, we have the BVS costume, the Ben Affleck one. You know what I'm talking about. I really like how they've emulated the texture on the suit, you know, like the fabric parts. They have this cool, like, detail thing going on the minifigure. Anyway, it looks pretty good. The only thing that's a little weird is the legs. Now, the sides and the back of the legs are black, while the front parts are gray, and that's, like, a little weird. I don't know, it might be a nitpick. It's fine. Also, this cowl is, like, the perfect fit for Ben Affleck's Batman. It looks just like his mask, but other than that, the suit's fine. It's pretty good. B tier. All right, next up, we have the other suit from BVS, the armored one. It's fine. Now, this might be a really weird and dumb nitpick, but like I was just singing the praises of the cowl mold that they chose for the BVS suit. It's a perfect fit. So then why did they go with this one for the armored suit? It's just inconsistent. It doesn't make sense to me. It's an inferior headpiece. And if you look at the Dark Knights of Steel suit, they used the one that I like, and it looks way better. So like, I don't know. Either way, this one's fine. I don't think it's as good as the movie. It's lacking some of the sauce. I don't know how to describe it. It's not the worst, so it's going in C tier. Geez, we're gonna have to run into an S tier soon, or people are gonna call me a hater. Next up, we have another Ben Affleck suit. We have the Nightmare suit. This was actually kind of cool and really unique, and that's because, like, obviously it's a suit without a cape, but when you glide with the suit, the cape is, like, tan, like the rest of the trench coat. I think it's pretty cool, you know? It's a cool detail. I'll put it in B tier. It's fine. All right, next up, we unfortunately have my favorite live-action Batsuit, and that would have to be the Robert Pattinson suit. And I do not think that it is as good in this game. I don't know. I feel like that suit looks so good in the movie because of all the textures and the depth that the armor plating has, that it doesn't translate as well to a 2D surface like the Lego pieces. It just doesn't look as good, and they've chosen the inferior cowl mold. I'm gonna keep complaining about that because I just don't like this version. If you look at this cowl mold right here, it's way better, okay? It looks more like Batman. This one, it's too round. The Robert Pattinson one is just a little disappointing, so it's going in B tier. It's not bad. It's not a bad suit. It's just, you know, it's a little underwhelming. Oh my gosh, yes. Okay, we're finally back to another S tier. No one can call me a hater. I'm gonna go back to calling everything peak because that's what this game is. It is peak. We are at the B-Task costume, the classic Batman, the animated series. If this costume wasn't in the game, there would be riots in the streets. That's just how it is, you know? Like, you remember all the drama with Insomniac when they didn't add the Raimi suit to the game and they started getting death threats and all that? Yeah, that would have happened here. So it's good that we avoided that. Anyway, I am so glad that this costume is in the game, and unfortunately, they are using the inferior cowl mold, but playing with it on this suit, like, it's kind of grown on me a little bit. Obviously, this is an S tier. Obviously. All right, next up, we have another classic costume from BTAS, and that would have to be the Gray Ghost suit. It's really cool how they've integrated it into this story. Like, this version of young Bruce loved the Gray Ghost, and they've kind of worked it into the plot. Really cool how they've included that. But the suit, it looks great, you know? Like, the one thing you could kind of nitpick is the goggles don't go all the way around the head, but I think that's just a thing that happens on Lego figures to begin with. So, you know, go critique actual Lego toys, I guess. But it looks really good. You know, I love the hat with the goggles and the cape. It's just so classic. It's going in A tier. All right, next up, we have yet another unfortunate placement. Everyone knows that I am Batman Beyond's #1 fan, but this helmet just isn't it, okay? They've chosen the first appearance Batman cowl for this costume, and it doesn't work, you know? But more than that, they've completely messed up the wings, okay? He doesn't have a regular long cape. I know that he gets that cape in, you know, other comics like the Batman Beyond and Static Shock comic that just came out, but they're adapting the show. They are very much obviously adapting the show. He does not have a cape. He has wings. So why, when I'm gliding with this costume, does he have a full cape? You know, like, I feel like it wouldn't have been that hard to just give him the wings, you know? It's inaccurate and it's a dumb nitpick. Like, it doesn't, at the end of the day, does it really matter? No, but you know, like, if you're a fan of something, you want to see it adapted properly. And when it's not, it's a little disappointing. But it's still Batman Beyond, so it's still peak, and I can't help myself, so it's going in A tier. All right, next up, we have another classic animated series costume. We have Batman Brave and the Bold. This one's just so fun. Okay, I love the black shading on the mask, much like the Adam West suit, but here it feels more comic booky, and obviously it's because they're trying to replicate the Batman of the Silver Age, and it's just perfect, okay? This costume is just perfect Silver Age Batman. It's so fun. A tier. All right, next up, we have Batman Ninja, and I know that a lot of people love this costume, and like, yeah, it's very detailed here, you know, it looks pretty good, but I'm just not a fan of this design. Never have been. I think it's honestly kind of lame, so D tier. Sorry to anyone who's like a huge fan of this costume. I just don't think it's that good. All right, next up, we are going to be talking about an absolute stinker of a costume. That would have to be Batfam or Merry Little Batman. Like, why was this in the game? You know, I was just applauding them for including recent Batman stuff, you know, that was like really recent and stuff that was just happening, but like, that stuff's good. You know, people like Absolute Batman. People like the Matt Fraction Batman. People don't like this, okay? Batman with a beard and like, no, okay? And the symbol on this suit is just so ugly. They've taken the oval that everyone knows and loves and they've stretched it out like a misshapen pancake, and then the symbol is just ugly. First off, why are there so many little points on the wings? It's too much, you know? This costume sucks. I really hated the art style in the show. I just could not get over the art style. It is so ugly and so hard to look at. You know, shows should be visually pleasing. I should want to watch a show because it makes my eyes happy. This does not make my eyes happy. Yeah, this is just straight up going into F tier. It's garbage. All right, next up, we have the Batman 89 NES video game costume, and this is a really deep cut. Like, it's cool that they've included this. It's purple and blue like this because I don't think the NES was able to properly display the black and yellow colors of the 89 suit while also standing out from the background. So I think that this is like the best solution that they could have come up with. But in this game, it's all right, you know? It's just a purple Batsuit isn't really for me. I don't like the pixelated look as much. Like, I want to be immersed in the story, you know? So this isn't a terrible costume. It's just not one that I would really wear in any of my playthroughs. So it's going into F tier. Sorry. All right, after all that Debbie Downing, I am back to singing the praises of these costumes because these next three are absolute bangers. First off, we have the Arkham Asylum suit. Best suit in the game. Instant S tier. It's just a classic black and gray Batsuit with the long ears, the Arkham Asylum logo. You can even see the Arkham style piping on the chest. It is perfect. I played with this costume for most of my playthrough after I unlocked it because you don't get it till like later in the story, but all of the side stuff, this is what I was wearing. It is perfect. And then we got the Arkham Knight suit, and I love it for all the same reasons as the Asylum suit. The long ears, the classic black and gray layout, but also all of the detail that's been added to the armor sections. It just looks so good, and it looks just like how it does in Knight, but you know, Lego. And then of course, we have the 2008 Lego Batman skin. I am so surprised that they added this into the game. It looks so good, and they've actually made the mask look just like it does in the original video game by giving it less polygons. Like, it looks unfinished. It looks like a PS2, you know, asset. It's just perfect. It's perfect. It's exactly what I wanted, okay? All three of these are going into S tier, obviously. All right, next up, we have the Lego Batman movie suit, and obviously, I know why they had to include this in the game. It's one of those classic Lego Batman looks. I just think that there's too many black and yellow suits in the game already. Like, you have the Batman Prime suit, you have the 89 costume, you have this, like, you know, pick one or two, and then, because they're all pretty much the same, honestly. This one looks almost identical to the Prime Batman suit, but they use a different helmet and a different cape. Other than that, there was no reason to include this, but it's fine. I like it. It's going into B tier. Next up, we got the Batman Prime suit. This is the default Lego costume for this game, and everything that I just said about the Lego Batman movie suit applies here. It's fine. It's just, you know, it's fine. B tier. All right, next up, we have the all gold Lego Batman skin. And like, this is one that you could get from buying a Lego set in the store and then you put a code into the game. And I think that's both a good and a bad thing. It's a good thing because this is the suit that they chose for that. And this suit is straight ass. You know, if they chose a really fire skin, you know, to go with that little promotion thing, like if they locked the BTAS suit behind an in-store Lego set, I would have lost my mind, you know? But they chose this costume, which looks tacky and it breaks immersion and it just doesn't look good. They chose that one for this whole thing and like, that's fine, you know? I just don't have to buy the set. I don't need the suit, but it just doesn't look that good. So F tier, I think it's lame. All right, next up, we have the final battle suit. This is the costume that Batman wears during the final boss of the game. I think it's pretty cool. Like, it's actually a really cool design. A lot of people thought that this was the other Zero Year suit from the comics, the one where he's like on the motorcycle, but it's not. It's unique to this game, and I actually like it a lot, okay? You have the classic Batman cape and cowl, but it's on this like homemade kind of rigged suit here. You know, you have the athletic t-shirt with the climbing gear, the spray painted Bat logo. It looks pretty tough, okay? It's going in B tier. Okay, next up, we have the Lego Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight original suit. Every character in this game has a version of this costume with this yellow and blue color scheme. And I shouldn't like this costume, but it's kind of working for me. I really like the blue on the inside of the cape. I like the yellow logo, and it kind of has that glow to it. I like the blue piping throughout the suit. Like, I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, it's MCU lines. It looks like MCU lines. I think it looks pretty cool, you know? If they chose a different cowl mold for this costume, it might honestly be an S tier for me. Like, that might be a crazy take, but I really like this thing. So I'm going to throw it into A tier. All right, next up, we have the Batman skin that comes with the party music pack. It's Batman as a punk rocker. It looks pretty cool. Like, it's not one that I'd wear, you know, in like a serious playthrough, but it's fun. Like, it's more fun, I'd say, than the Rainbow Batman suit or the NES suit, but you know, it's fine. It's cool. It's a little gimmicky, but it's fine. So it's going into C tier. All right, now these last two suits are ones that you can only get from connecting your HBO Max account to your WB Games account. And I don't currently have HBO Max, so I haven't been able to play with these costumes, but I still think they look pretty good. I'm going to throw both of them into B tier. You have the Dark Knights of Steel costume. I'm not sure if that's the actual name, but I like it. It's just Batman as a old medieval knight. I really like the silver finish on it and the shoulder pads. It's just a better version of the BVS armored costume. And then we have the Blackest Night Batman costume. You know, it's fine. The shoulder pads are cool. I don't know. It's nothing special. So it's going into C tier. Anyway, I'm sorry if I didn't give your favorite suit enough attention on this tier list. There were just so many of these, and I just had to try to get through this in a timely manner. But anyway, that's going to be it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed it all, I'd really appreciate it if you hit that like and subscribe button, and drop in the comments down below your favorite suit from Lego Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight. Let's talk about it. But yeah, until next time, I'll see you guys later.